again for having me in this morning. We were talking a little bit ago. We've been doing more belting with you the last 5 years. Actually, I came in and did one of these training sessions probably about 5 years ago. Got together with Bill and did a training session, and so it's been pretty steady the last 5 years. Not much in heavy duty belting, and that's what we're going to talk about this morning. I just wanted to run through this binder real quick because there's some products in here that you're going to run into at the sand and gravel plants that I'm not going to get into detail, but just wanted to touch on it in case you run across it. The first couple pages just tells a little bit about who we are. We only sell to distributors. We don't sell to direct to end users. So we're open distribution, but only sell to distributors and select OEMs. This page here lists all our branches, inside, outside sales, as well as we have marketing groups, and St. Louis is our headquarters, and we have marketing groups there for different product groups. And you can find those people there too. So if you weren't able to get a hold of me, I work out of the Langhorne branch in Philly. You can get a hold of anybody in the Langhorne branch, or you can call our specialists or engineers out in St. Louis. Their direct, dials and emails are here. So if there's any projects and you needed to work with one of our engineers or specialists, all that information is right on the sheet right here. This brochure is our new general line brochure. This covers all our products. This is one we're going to talk about a little more. This is our heavy duty rubber belt brochure. This is our belt wall brochure, which is our corrugated sidewall. You'll find this from time to time in the sand and gravel facilities. More cement, if we're talking about related industries, this is used in cement block plants where they use Stanley batch systems for any type of block processing. Sand and gravel recycling, and sometimes you'll see it in the portable screening units, and so just wanted to make you aware of that. I don't know, are you getting up into the frac business at all up north? You getting any calls for that?
No, but boy, I'll tell you, that's an area that should, because let's face it, you talk about the pug mills up there where they're taking all the shit out of the ground and moving it for miles and miles to get rid of it. There's got to be a boatload of conveyor belting.
There is. This brochure has all the different styles of sand conveying belts that are used in that fracking process.
Yes,
whether it's transfer stations, the portable conveyor units. These are all types of belts that we make. We even stock some of them in the more common ones we stock in the Philly branch. Some of the other ones we stock in the St. Louis branch. It's slowed down the last couple of years. 5 years ago it was just, we couldn't keep belts on the floor. They were going so fast. Because when they first started, they were going to Texas. Suppliers in Texas to get their belts. So to have a local source, business was good, but it's slow now. We're here and it's going to come back at the beginning of the year. So if you get calls for that, we have, that falls under our heavy duty building. The next one is lightweight. I'll just pass by those. The next heavy duty belt product is our feeder belts. And you find these from time to time in the sand and gravel plants, but you definitely find them in the cement plants. They go on scales and weighs where they're, in a cement plant, they're using these belts on scales so they get the right mixture of, different materials that go into making cement or cement blocks. Basically what a feeder belt is a heavy duty belt with a flange on the edge to keep the material on the belt. This one you will find in your sand and gravel plants, magnetic separator belts. These are overhead conveyors. There's actually a magnet in the middle of it. So like I said, it's an overhead conveyor. As the rocks or gravel passes under this, it draws up any metal. any metal out of material being conveyed. And there's different styles of magnetic separator belts. We make all those out in St. Louis. We have a water jet and atom knife cutter, so we make all different types of rubber parts. Again, something you're not going to find it every day, but from time to time you'll have requests for cut parts made out of belting or out of script cord. I'm just going to skip over anything not related to heavy duty. Air permeable fabrics we stock in St. Louis. These are used in cement plants, and it's a fixed piece of material that you actually blow air up through it to convey your material. It's typically cement or block plants. So they use that. They call it air slide. It's just a different way of conveying materials. The next couple brochures are Fablon or Fabflex belting. They're intricately molded pleated belts, which we'll talk about a little bit more, which will be used on the road milling machines, any type of road construction, and also your portable screeners and separators. I'll show you a sample of this. We have a heavy duty belt. It's called a rocket belt. It's a heavy duty belt for specifically for sand and gravel. There's a brochure here again on intricately molded pleated belts.
This is one we're highlighting.
Yeah. Exactly. Which is, road construction and portable screeners. But I mean, we see it too as far as just incline conveyors at sand and gravel. So that's, I just wanted to, these are yours to keep and touch on some of the other items you might run into, in the facilities we're going to talk about. So just make you aware of them. And all this information's online. If you go to beltservice.com, it's all online. So I want to talk, primarily about heavy duty belting today. Just a little on our company. Our headquarters is St. Louis. I work out of the Philadelphia branch, which is in Langhorne. And in Langhorne, we stock heavy duty belt. We have 2 slitters to slit to width, and we can do endless belts, lace belts, pleated belts out of the Langhorne branch. This is a slide, just basics on heavy duty belt construction. Basically, you have top cover, you have your carcass, which are referred to as plies. When we're trying to find out what type of belt they have to quote. You can have anywhere from 2. Typically, it's 2, 3, or 4 plies in a heavy duty conveyor belt. We have rubber skins that go in between the plies, and then your bottom cover. I brought in a couple samples of heavy duty belts. Here's an example of description of a heavy duty belt. 4-ply, 440 PIW, 1/4 inch by 16. And what that means is you have 4 plies of fabric, as you can see there. You have a working tension of that belt of 440. The working tension is 440 pounds per inch of width. So each one of these, and our standard heavy duty belts, each ply, the working tension for each ply is 110 pounds. 110 pounds per inch of width working tension. So where we get to 440 is you have 4 plies at 110 each. It's 4-ply, 440. And that's your working tension per inch of width. So if you have a 10 inch wide belt, you take 440 times 10, and that gives you your load on the belt. You know, typically in the sand and gravel, we're talking 36-inch wide, 42-inch wide, 48-inch wide. So you take that number times this, and that gives you, you know, if they know what their load is, you know, if they know what they're, you know, if we're trying to spec in, you know, someone's retrofitting a conveyor or needs a belt for a conveyor, that's the information we're looking for. And the quarter inch is the top cover, and the 16th is the bottom cover. In most quarry applications, we have a cover on the top and a cover on the bottom. And typically it's in a troughing set, so we want a cover on the bottom. Sometimes if we have a slider bed application, we have just a cover on the top and just a bare bottom on the bottom. This is the sample. Any questions?
Just commenting on the bare bottoms.
I'll pass this around. This is a 2-ply 220, 3/16 top cover by 16 top cover.
That's about as common as it gets.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Your aerial stacker, the aerial stackers, and we stock that, and I mean the belts I'm going to talk about today, we stock in Langmore. Here's again just showing you the 4-ply spec. Like I mentioned, we can have cover on the top side and the bottom side. We can have cover on the top side and just a bare bottom on the.
That is nice.
Smells like
I don't know if it's a little bare
So
bottom,
the
but the
1/16
bare bottom is
is the bottom,
basically a
right?
slider bed
Yeah.
application.
See,
It's 3/1.
it's not like everybody says. I'm smart.
The plies we talked about, that provides the tensile strength for the belt. It also absorbs the impact of the belt. It gives you the lateral stiffness, again, to support the load. It's also the strength. You know, typically if these belts are laced, we use Flexco lacing. Are you a Flexco distributor?
We are.
So, depending on thickness of belt and strength of belt, pulley diameters, we determine what size Flexco lace we want to, you know, put on that belt. But the fabric gives you the retention on the fasteners. Basically, the covers protect the carcass of the belt. They increase the traction on incline applications. We have, you know, typically in your sand and gravel, it's just SBR, standard rubber, but we have different compounds for different applications. And the covers can provide cut gouge and abrasion resistance. Impact resistance. Just another overview on covers, impact, abrasiveness, heat, and chemical. Cover compounds, I mean, basically we're dealing with rubber belting. And the belts that we stock are polyester belts, the fabric. There's different types of compounds for heavy duty belting. What we primarily stock is grade 2 rubber, which is your standard grade for sand and gravel and quarries. In certain applications on your main crushing belts, there is also a grade 1 rubber. And grade 1 is more cut and gouge resistant, and it's for those main crushing. You know, in a screening plan or a quarry, it's where if you're starting with 3-inch rock, that first belt is taking the brunt of the impact as they go down and screen it. So we stock one grade 1 belt. This is I'll pass this around. It's a single ply fabric, and it's the strength, the working strength is 440. So it's a single ply 440. It has a 1/4 inch top and a 16th bottom, and it's grade 1 rubber. So if you have customers that are running 3 ply or 4 ply and they get 2 to 3 months life on it just because they beat it up from the application, this is typically the belt we would recommend for those abrasive applications.
Dave, if I ask my customer what grade belt are you using, would he be able to answer that, or is he gonna look at you and go, I have no idea, so then we have to say, okay, it's below 3 inch, so it's grade 2, it's above 3 inch, it's gonna be a grade 1?
He's probably not gonna know. I mean, primarily, most of the belting we supply is imported belting.
Right.
We work with domestic manufacturers, and we're not a manufacturer, we're just a fabricator.
Mhm.
We buy big rolls and then
Sure.
we fabricate. So we do work with some domestic belt companies, but primarily it's overseas.
So the end customer's not gonna know necessarily what grade it is.
Suppliers.
The only reason I ask that is if the belt is just about ready to be repaired, or replaced, the thicknesses aren't gonna be where I need them to be to measure them up and go, oh, that's a 1/4 inch and that's a 1/16 of an inch, it's not gonna be there.
Right.
So just general,
Right. We'll look at pulley diameters, trying to identify, what belt it is. We take a look at, pulley diameters.
if we said to your people inside, it's on the main part, it's right near the crusher, and the size of the rock is 4 inches,
Right.
they'd be able to tell us? what-
Yeah, I mean, more than likely, they're on an application like that, they're using a 3 ply or 4 ply.
Okay.
If they're using a 2 ply and it's that abusive of an application, they're probably not getting long life on that belt.
Okay.
And typically, Glenn, you're not gonna see, the sand and gravel guys around here, none of them guys gonna be using grade 1 belting, or, you're not gonna.
Right.
Unless
But you
you're
might see it in
out
the-
west, when I was calling on some of the gold mines, where they, their main primary belts are like this, and, Scandora calls this, I forget what the hell they call it, they're a single ply 440. That was.
Oh, Osflex. Osflex?
Osflex, there you go. That was their big belt, and they ordered that in grade 1, because they wanted it to last a long time, and it was a bitch to put this belt on, and it was in a main place, and they knew it was gonna be expensive, because it's much more expensive than grade 2 belting.
Okay.
So, but everywhere else in that plant, like all the outbound conveyors, it was all just grade 2 belting, but there was or like at the Palladium mine, some of the main belts coming up were grade 1, because they needed them to last.
How about quarries, Dave, are we gonna see any grade 1 there, or no? They're gonna stick with the grade 2?
Probably.
I mean, the only place you see it is if there's
You would see it in coal mines, but that ain't here either.
No.
the domestic belt manufacturers have authorized distributors for, like Fenner is one, Goodyear is another, Scandura, I think they're part of some of them.
Yeah,
But they all have authorized distributors, and those are the distributors that will sell the grade 1 belting. I mean, there was a time where, certain plants demanded grade 1, only grade 1. But it's a lot more, grade 1 is a lot more expensive than grade 2.
Yeah, oh, sure.
So it's gotten to the point now where they kind of just price themselves out of the market. It's just, and even some of the distributors that were stocking domestic only are now stocking domestic and import. It's just, it's competitive. I mean, they're looking for.
Because in reality,
Price.
the portable sand and gravel guys they're going around here and then out west, they've already bid a job that they got a big road project coming in here. So they got, a couple teams of portable crushers in the area, and they get out there ahead of time and they start leasing the land and doing all this, and they'll start crushing rock and stockpiling, because they know in 2 months,
Yeah.
they're gonna come here and start paving. And they're under such a budget, I mean, they quoted this job, and that's what the hell the customer's gonna pay. And, you know, belt goes out or something, the last thing they're gonna do is be shopping around for grade 1 belting or anything. I mean, it's just
Understand.
like, give me a belt, and we gotta run and get this done, we got deadlines, and we know what we're allowed to spend, which isn't very much,
Okay,
you know, get the job done kind of
okay,
thing. you know.
okay.
I mean, I think you're primarily just gonna see, you know, a request for quote, 3-ply, 330, quarter-inch top by 16 bottom.
Okay, yeah, like I said, you know, part of this is.
22 wide by 200 feet, and they're not gonna, I mean, they're,
Yeah, I have to ask, because this is new to me, to
Sure.
a degree,
Right.
you know, on this.
yeah, and like I said, the only grade 1 we have is that single ply 440. And it's a lot, I mean, if someone's using a 4-ply 440, which is grade 2, the single ply is a lot more expensive, but it's gonna give them longer life than the 4-ply. The different types of compounds we stock for our belts are SBR, MOR, which is moderately oil resistant, SOR, which is super oil resistant, and then we also have a 400-degree high temp belt. So those are different compounds. Typically, sand and gravel, it's the cement plants where you get into the specialty belts. And, you know, you get into recycling, you're looking at a lot of oil-resistant belts because you're dealing with, you know, oils from all the garbage that you process.
Even if I have a customer that comes to me and says, okay, I've got whatever machining, I've got a road milling machine that's made by XYZ manufacturer, can your people tell us what that belt is?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, I should be able to cover that later. But we have, for those, some of those machines, we have them made endless and in stock in St. Louis. Wow. Ready to go, so. This cleat top belt in the middle here is a belt that we stock in Langhorne, both the 2-ply and 3-ply. And that's used a lot in your mulching companies on incline conveyors. From time to time, it's used in sand and gravel, but we have that one in stock. You can expect belts to stretch up to 1 to 2%. We, in the Langhorne branch, we can vulcanize belts endless where we, you know, we need to know the finish length, we actually step the plies. We use, we use uncured rubber, put it in a press and vulcanize it endless. We can, the bottom corner there, we can prepare belts for field installation. We don't do any field installations, we don't have any crews that go out, but there are some independent, I don't know if have you used any independent splicers in the area for jobs?
Yeah, and I mean, not so much on the black belting, but for.
Lightweight.
Yeah, right.
There's a couple independents in the area, I can let you know who those are. You know, if you know, a lot of times with this, if the belt needs to be installed, it's a package of quoting the belt and quoting the installation. And sometimes it's hard to get those orders if you're just quoting the belt, because others are quoting the belt in the installation and vulcanization. But we can prepare the ends, and there are guys that can go out. There are guys that work with distributors, and you know, go out and do the splice quoting. We can install mechanical fasteners. We can lace one end. If length is an issue, we can lace one end, make the belt a little longer, send it out in the field, they can cut the other end and lace the other end. So flexible what we can do with fasteners. The 2-ply, 3-ply, and 4-ply belts, we do a step splice, like I said. That single-ply 440, we have to do a finger splice in it, because it's 1 ply. We don't have any plies we can step it, so we actually cut fingers in that, and then it gets vulcanized, like a light duty belt. This is just a diagram on conveyor terms when we're trying to, ask questions to recommend the right belt. If you have we want to ask if it's roller supported or slider bed. If it's roller supported, we want a cover on the bottom of the belt. If it's a slider bed, we want a bare bottom belt. With a cleated belt, depending on what cleats, we want to know what the return idlers are. Typically, your return idlers are used in also tracking the belt. Sometimes the tail pulley will be used in tracking the belt. Degree of troughing idlers is, it's all helpful in if they don't know what they're asking for or looking for, and trying to identify which belt to quote. Other information needed, of course, length, width, number of plies, the tension rating, the top cover thickness, bottom cover thickness, any special compounds that we've talked about before. In determining if they don't know, we all get those calls. I got a heavy duty belt, it's 36 inches wide, it's 88 feet long, and it's heavy duty rubber. Well, how many plies? I don't know how many plies. If they don't know how many plies, if we know what material they're conveying and the load of that material, that helps us to recommend a 2-ply or 3-ply. Pulley diameter is also, if we have a 6-inch pulley, any of these heavy duty belts, the 2-ply 220 or 3-ply 330, typically the smallest pulley you really want to wrap good around is a 12-inch pulley. So we'd be looking at going down to a 2-ply 150, which would be recommended to get around a 6-inch pulley. So pulleys are important in determining what strength belt we want to put on the conveyor. Finding belt length in the field, one way is just center shaft to center of the shaft, if it's just a head and tail. And then if you have the same diameter pulleys, it's the diameter times 3.14, and then we add that to our, basically it's center to center shaft, and you double that, and then the pulley rack. If you have different diameters, you take 1.57 times each of those, and then you add those together to get the belt length. And one other thing you want to look at is take up. If you're in the field looking at it, is looking at the take up. If the take up's all the way out, you probably want to look at making the belt shorter, because we know the belt's going to stretch. So if we can bring that pulley in 3 inches to the center, when you move that pulley in 3 inches, it's actually 6 inches of belt length, because you're making a wrap on the top of the bottom. If you're trying to determine a length on a roll, this doesn't happen that often, but you measure the roll diameter and then the core diameter, and you add those together, and then you count the number of coils in the belt, and you take you take the total of the roll diameter and the core diameter, which is 55, divide that by 2, times 3.14, and then you take that number times 100. And all these formulas are in that brochure we have. They're in the back there or online. So that information is pretty easy to get. But it doesn't happen that often. But every once in a while, someone wants to know how much, if they have a roll belt, how much they have to definitely wanna look at pulley diameters when determining, you know, what size belt, or if they've been having belt failures, it might be due to smaller pulleys. It's important to know, what degree of troughing anglers we have, in recommending the proper belt. And it also, on incline applications, there's a certain degree of incline that a smooth belt will handle certain materials. And then at some point, we need to put a cleat on there. And we've got information, manufacturer's information on degree of incline with a smooth belt or a cleated belt on a troughing conveyor. So any of those questions we can help you out with, trying to help determine which belt. This is a picture of a mini, we call it a mini cleat top. It's an intricately molded belt, and it's just showing a bare bottom belt, top cover, 1-ply, 2-ply, 3-ply, and your bottom ply is basically your fabric bottom. And this is the same belt but with a cover on the bottom. Cover on the top, 3 plies, and then a cover on the bottom. This is a belt that is obviously running off the pulley. Typically, you want to use a tail pulley when trying to tractor train a belt, or the return rollers, you know, to try to get it to track. Things we want to, when we're out in the field, we want to look for as far as trying to help performance is no buildup of trap material around the tail pulley. Any damage to any of the pulleys, you know, frozen rollers. Make sure they're all, you know, all rolling. You can see heavy wear in the middle of that belt, which may or may not be from rollers or just the load for that belt. And head pulley and lagging. I mean, one question we get a lot is belt slipping on pulleys, and if there's no lagging or worn lagging, which is, you know, basically rubber wrapped around the head pulley, that's where you get slippage on belts. So that pulley lagging helps to give friction to drive the belts. Picture of a R5 flexible rivet flex. We call this a Dutchman or a saddle piece. You know, a lot of times we have customers that have a 200-foot long belt and they got 40 feet that's damaged. We can cut just a open-ended piece that they can lace in. We can lace both ends of that and send lacing that they can put into the other ends, but, you know, keeps them from. With the economy the way it is, it seems like saddles are more prevalent than buying a, you know, new replacement belts. So we do get requests a lot for saddle pieces.
This might be a dumb question. Why don't they call it the Dutchman?
Dutchman. I don't know. Yeah, typically it's you know, it's saddles. I don't know where that term came from.
Just wondering if they're repairing it on the fly, and there used to be a very famous football player called the Flying Dutchman. I'm serious.
Was it? Okay.
Just curious.
Well, I'm with you, Mike.
That's what they all say.
This is another heavy duty spec I brought in. This is a 3-ply with a 1/4 inch top by a 16 long. Now, as far as what we stock in Langhorne, the 2-ply 220, 3/16 by 1/16, that's your most common spec. We do have an 8 by 16, so it's a little lighter cover. I mean, typically they like to go with the thickest cover possible, but we do have an 8 by 16. In the 3-ply 330s, we have a 3/16 by 16, and we also have a 1/4 by 16. Again, we sell more of the 1/4 inch thing. The thicker the cover, typically the longer the length you're going to get on that cover. And then the 4-ply 440, we have a 1/4 inch by 16. Those are all stocked in Langhorne, stocked at all our facilities.
That's a 4x1.
Do you have a truck that makes deliveries or pickups?
I think a truck. Yeah,
Truck.
Chevy. Yeah, Tonic, is it, or Pickler, one road?
That just
Just about
depends.
installation, rubbers, food tests. I imagine the belts are pretty heavy.
Yeah, they get pretty nice. I was just, I mean, customers, even end users of distributors will come, will come in and pick up if they're close by. That's why I asked. And some distributors have trucks too that they will pick up. But from here to Langhorne, it's an hour and 45 minutes, so it's not, you got a little bit of freight involved, but it's not, we're not shipping into Ohio. So,
Just put that in your motorcycle.
Yeah.
so any questions on heavy duty belting?
I was curious about the installation.
Yeah.
Should we partner with somebody locally here and be prepared to offer installation?
I think most of the quarry people who run in, who are around here will put their own belts on, for the most part. But,
Especially for,
Yeah, I mean-
for the conveyor application, certainly. They're wide open, they have people that do that all day, every day. Or maybe they might source out the specialty stuff under the
Yeah.
crusher, or,
Yeah.
that might be a little something different.
It seems to be a preference, if some facilities just run all mechanical fasteners, so then they're just buying rolls of belt. Like you said, they're gonna install it themselves, they have the equipment to do it, and they know how to put the leaks in.
Yeah, they'll put the mechanical splices in and, do it all themselves for the most part. And their biggest concern is just getting the roll belt on the ground.
Right. Yeah.
Who's your biggest competition?
Mine,
Yeah.
Mulhern, Apache. Those are probably my two biggest
How do they stack up in your estimation against you?
competitors. We're the largest industrial belting distributor in North America. So we have a larger product line, than our competitors. We're definitely more distributor oriented. I would say our competitors, a good percentage of their overall business is probably OEMs, for heavy duty equipment. I mean, they both get involved with heavy duty and lightweight stuff, but I think a bigger percentage is OEM. Our OEM business is a very small percentage.
You have to make your market. You
Well,
have to.
two end users. So, it's very small to sell to. I have a handful of OEM accounts, but typically we try to, work with a distributor on that. And we only sell through distributors, where our competitors, have some direct business or national contracts, whatever it might be. Our facility in St. Louis is 300,000 square feet, so it's the biggest facility, in North America as far as industrial belting. Complex is our division that makes our intricately molded belts. We have a plant in Boise, Idaho. It used to be Fabrica. I don't know if you recognize the name Fabrica, but we bought it was their plant out in Boise, and we bought the plant from them about 5 years ago. And all we make out there is what we call intricately molded pleated belts. This would be typically used on a road milling machine, where they're digging up the road before they repave it. And we buy these. The material we bring in has the fabric, and then it's all uncured rubber. So we have to bring it in. We have to keep it climate controlled. If it gets too hot, it'll start to cure up on us. But the uncured rubber and fabric goes into basically a big clamshell press, and this would be one of the molds when the belt comes out. So it's all molded as one piece, as compared to a two-part cleat where we take a smooth belt and we take uncured rubber and we hot vulcanize it to the belt. This is all cured as one piece. So we don't have any issues with separations of the cleats, poor adhesions, and the cleats coming off. And those fabrics are specially made too to go around smaller pulleys. Where, like I mentioned before, your 2-ply 220, typically we like to see a 16-inch head pulley and a 12-inch tail pulley and just a 2-ply 220. These belts we make them in 2-ply 220, 3-ply 330, 2-ply 400, so we make them in strong fabrics. But these will get around as small as 8-inch pulleys. And that's usually what we see on the milling machines, or the screening machines and portable crushing equipment is 8 to 9-inch pulleys. Like I mentioned, these are all made out in Boise, Idaho. That one is a 1-inch high cleat. This one is 1 1/4 inch high cleat.
Oh, yeah. That's a small one, too.
Is that right?
Mm-mm.
Go back.
This one's a 3/4 inch high cleat.
And Henson always misses the meetings where we have hands-on stuff. Yeah. He's the guy
Well, I'm
that
sort of
wants-
happy about that, because I don't trust what he has on his hands.
Damn.
I would have said that if he was here, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
You can repeat it.
It's hostile back there.
Still wondering whether Rob jumped out the window on the way to Indianapolis.
Or just made a sharp veer right.
Or he's on suicide alert as we speak.
Well, the sharp beer, so Hanson falls out. When I was a senior in high school, when we graduated, you go to parties and stuff. One of my buddies, his nickname is still Big Daddy, and he's one of these guys, no matter what bar you go to, still to this day, he walks in and everybody knows
Add
him.
some rubber in there.
But he had a 57
It comes
Chevy.
in real quick.
And
The
I was in the front
low
seat,
We can.
he was driving, 2 guys were in the back seat, we turn a corner, we go to the big party, and we get to the party, and we're all blasted out of our minds. And we look at each other and goes, where'd the lights go?
But it's all.
There was only 3 of us in the car. We retraced, we turned the one corner, lights fell out of the car, we never even knew it. Oh, his back was brutally scraped.
It's gummy.
But the point is, we were so blasted, we didn't even notice he fell out of the car.
Yeah. So you have to keep it in a cool, you have to just throw it out in the back.
And you really gotta be glad when you're the one that fell out and you don't realize it until they come back to get you.
Street people. Oh, I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
one
this
in
plant's in Boise, Idaho.
Ford, Round Tech.
Do you remember out that way? St. Louis
I had
is.
4 guys, we're driving up this relatively clean road, and one of the guys in the back, when we picked him up, he was already loaded up, never up
What's nice about those.
rolls down the hill and starts
I
eating
mean,
out the
that's
window.
what.
So as we're driving along,
What the milling
this,
machines, that's what-
this road, and no, we heard this little thwop.
Now in the aftermarket.
We didn't think anything of it, we get to stop at this like 7-Eleven, we look over, and it's Crooks, he's got blood all over his face. Well, he didn't even smell enough, there was a tree that I guess I got close to, he split his nose. That was the block.
Going around small pools.
Well, that's what we were happy about. Crooks said, at least you didn't have your head out the window.
That two-part process. You can run into-
I mean, no. Somebody told me that story. I wasn't there.
Familiar with this at all? This is called, it's from Monet, it's called a super screw.
It's like the plate.
It's rubber.
Yeah.
It's rubber. So you know, you spec it out to thickness and belt strength or working tension. And you know, basically you bring, on either side of it, the belt fits into there, and then you just take a screw, you know.
Yeah, so
take a
it's just go
screwdriver,
in and then.
goes
yeah.
in, and this has fabric in it. It's, you know, it's rubber and it has fabric in it. So you get that you get, and these are just regular, you know, screws, like wood screws kind of. They go through the splice and they go down through the belt, and then they lock on the bottom side. And it's been successful on the milling machines. On the road milling machines, what's always tough, I mean, typically you want an endless belt because they're high speed, running around small pulleys. The laced belts just don't hold up. In an emergency, you know, they're out in the middle of a project, they have to put a lace belt on, they'll put a lace belt on. But typically they like to have an endless belt. It's hard to, it's almost impossible to get one of the vulcanizing presses into one of those machines to actually make it endless. So until this super screw came along, they'd have to, if they wanted an endless belt, they had to buy an endless. They'd tear the machine apart, they'd put the endless belt on, and then, you know, put the machine back together, which is, you know, that might be a day or two just to change the
And
belt.
there's a lot of applications where that portable press ain't gonna fit in any, I mean, you just don't have anywhere to put it.
No.
Because you've gotta be able to get the belt up so high on the conveyor, and be able to slide it in there, and, you know, so.
Right. So this super screw is worked out nice. It falls in between a mechanical fastener and an endless belt as far as strength. I mean, an endless splice is going to be the strongest. This would be this would be number 2, and then your mechanical fastener would be number 3. But we've had pretty good success with this splice on machines and other applications too.
Interesting.
The company's called Monet Lacing Technology. I think they're down in North Carolina, and they're basically set up to sell distributors. I mean, we don't stock it and sell it. I mean, we quote it as part of the belt, but you know, some companies just buy it. You could buy
So
it.
urethane cleaner is okay with that splice? You know, belt cleaner?
Belt scraper?
Yeah, because you can recess it. It's kind of hard to tell in these pictures if they, it looks like they recessed the top cover here. So you can if you don't have scrapers, you don't have to recess it, but if you have scrapers, you can recess that top cover. And you know, just like you do with Flexco fasteners sometimes.
Right.
You know, you recess it and see how it goes. Sometimes it works, sometimes, you know, not so great, but yeah, that'll work with scrapers. Typically, you're not gonna see these in the road construction. These are just your standard ones. There's your road mowing machine there. We also make belts that go on the street sweepers too. Some of them have belts in them. Pretty fun. So your typical applications for these interclear molded belts are road milling. These are some other industries: wood chips, sand and gravel, construction materials. Our cleat top belt is the 6-inch V's, which is, I showed a picture before, a series of rows, and those are 1/4 inch high. And a lot of times, I mean, that's a common belt that gets, it conveys the product you're trying to convey. Sometimes you need a 1/2 inch or a 3/4 or 1 inch high, and that's what we can achieve with, with these belts, is the higher cleat profile. Our bullhorn is a 1/2 inch high, and that's used on CMI and road tech machines. The big horn is a 3/4 inch tall. The long horn is a 1 inch high profile. A fab lift is, that's typically Orkin and Road Tech seem to be the ones we get most requests for, the most common machines that are out there. And that's a 1 inch high, cleat. This is a new belt. This is the 1 1/4 inch high cleat. And I mean, typically these belts we make them 36 inch wide, 42, 48 are the common sizes. And then the cleat pattern is typically made with a 6 inch recess, because those machines usually have skirting that comes down on the outer edges. These are this brochures this flyers and the book there. It shows all the different patterns, but the belts that we have in stock for belts we have in stock in St. Louis are these Road Tech model numbers right here, and these Orkin model numbers right here. Those and each one of those machines has a primary belt and then a secondary belt, and they can be a little different. I mean, the primary belt is a little heavier duty and shorter than the secondary belt. So for each of these model numbers here, we have both the lower primary belt and then the upper secondary belt, and we have them made to the OEM length, and we have them made ends, so they can ship out same day, next day.
So that's Road Tech and Orkin.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Now, these other ones, any of these ones listed here, we know what the belt style, freestyle, and width and length is on these other ones, but the first two are the ones that we have made up in stock. The other ones we make, some specs we make like a 200-foot roll up, and then when we get a call for a 40-foot belt, we cut it, we make it endless, and then ship it out.
Can that be turned over in one day, or?
That's probably like 3 to 5 days.
Okay.
So we have to slit it and then.
No, I understand.
Do the prep work.
Yep, I understand.
And then the endless work. I mean, from scratch, we're, 2 to 3 weeks, we have to, make a belt from scratch. And that's what we were trying to do with those Road Tech and Orkin, is take that lead time out of it, and just
Understand.
have it made up to the OEM length.
So that would be the most popular road grader manufacturers?
Yeah.
Let's see.
And this time of year, they're starting to wind down the road work. And typically, we find they bring those machines into the shop over the winter, and they tear them apart and take the belts off, so they make a determination that they're gonna put the same belt on for next, try to get through next season with the same belt, or order a new belt and put a new belt on. So summer's a good time, because they typically, they tear the belts up and they need them if they haven't stocked them. But winter's a good time because of doing all the maintenance on those machines.
Your company's knowledge of the belts as a function of the manufacturer on the road graders. Is it limited to this list?
No, I believe there's more out.
For example, like Marini America, Marini's an Italian
Mhm.
manufacturer that we see more often now.
Right. If we didn't have information, you know, we'd have to go, you know, I could assist in taking a look at.
Okay.
You know, at what they have. That's no problem. And this inch and a quarter belt, we designed that one strictly, that was this one right here. Strictly, you know, for replacement for those working machines. So it's very similar to their pattern. Any questions?
Does your company also sell the skirt board?
Yes.
You mentioned about the recess
Right.
for the skirt board, I guess.
Yeah, we stock, I mean, just a regular black 1/4 inch, 3/8, ½ inch.
It looks just like the belting, except there's no plies in it.
Okay.
Yeah, you see a lot, you'll see it in the hoppers, it's, you know, used for,
Like the boots,
yeah.
the boots at the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's softer than the belt, so the skirt board will wear, and you don't wear your belt out.
Right.
You know, a lot of times you'll see people just cutting off belting strips and using that for skirting. That's okay for a little bit, but, you know, once those plies start rubbing that top cover of that belt, then it's all over that. And then, you know, a lot of people, a lot of guys even been doing it for years, don't realize that, you know. That's something you can look and say, why are you using belting for skirting, you know? You should be using skirting for skirting, not belting.
Yeah, and it's a simple question, all seriousness, could,
Mm-hmm.
do you use skirt board?
Yeah.
What size, 1/4 inch?
Right.
Boom, can I quote it to you?
If they say, no, we just use scraps of belting, then you got something to talk about.
Right, right.
Good, you must be buying a lot of belts then.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, were you available for joint calls with the guys?
Yeah.
Are there any accounts that you cannot go into?
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, you know, but probably, you know, they probably all, I mean, as long as there's no conflicts.
Old Castle, Mark Limestone, Nazi Supply, companies like that?
I mean, off the top of my head, you know, recently, I don't recall recently, you know, you know, we can talk about it, I mean, if there's no conflicts, and, I mean, it's a, you know, competitive marketplace, and there's a couple out there, like I said, that do belting and installation, and, you know, they stock their own belt. If RW Connections in all those places, you know, you know, we don't sell it. I mean, they're just like us, but they sell direct.
Okay.
And they're bringing containers like we do, like they sell direct.
They're not getting belting from you, for the most part.
No, they buy their own.
Yeah.
You know, a company like Gasco, they buy their own. And they're a domestic, you know, they're a distributor. Can buy, you know, that's another one. So that's, yeah, that's no problem.
We've had RW do some installations for us, light duty stuff in factories and stuff like that, or we partnered with them, you know. They would win their new or on behalf of us, you know, if their service crew or whatever. I mean, so we get along fine, you know, and we certainly don't butt heads with them much in black belly.
If you have a distributor that does install, you should probably give them a call.
Yeah.
Someone that we partner with.
Yeah, there's an independent, just, up in the Trenton area, Risco Vulcanizing, and Dan Risco, I can give you his number, he's the owner. And he works a lot with distributors. And he doesn't, you know, he doesn't have a warehouse where he stocks belt, he's in business to go out and do, you know, endless storage.
Right. He's got the tools if he needs to do that. What else? Does any more questions? good about, as far as pricing. We have, pricing, I guess, that we need for our system. There's certain parts that we should have, available in our system if we get a call. We're just gonna be on a case by case.
Case by case. Yeah, I mean, just depending if we're quoting out of it, you know. Typically, we wanna quote material that we have in Philadelphia. You know, we have different suppliers and different roles carry different costs, so there's really no list price.
I work with Terry down there a lot, I mean, she's great,
Yeah.
you know, she's wonderful, she get right back to you, you can get a price on the phone before I email her most times, and she emails me a quote back, you know, within a half an hour or something. She's wonderful.
Would it be, would you be our point man interior inside for building, or just stick with our customer service person?
I'd stick with them, and then, you know, if I need to help out with them or something.
Okay, okay.
But I can make sure they have, you know, Terry's information or whatever, so they can get in touch with her. And most of the people.
It's on that one sheet in there. You know,
Yeah, I saw, yeah.
Terry, Peter's good too.
Peter, yeah.
And Luann's our operations manager.
Yeah, I just dealt with Lenny the other day, she was really good.
Luann's been with us 27 years, and Terry's been with us 25 years. Peter's been with us about 12 years, so they know their stuff. pretty
Yeah.
well. So, we're gonna get lunch?
Excellent. Yeah.
Very unusual.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you, Dave,
Thank
very
you.
good.